Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick. This is MSFS Flight Plans and all we do is awesome around here as I try to do my small part to save the world through flight simulation. Today's trip is going to be a bit of a mixed bag for us. We're up in Paro, Bhutan, a country that sits along the southeastern border of the Himalayan range. And we're up here to check out a fresh release from Cli4D Designs, who I'm going to go ahead and officially proclaim as one of my top 5 scenery devs, maybe even top 3. And I say that because everything I've seen from him so far is indeed awesome. And I think what it is that I like so much, you can already see little hints of it over there in the distance. He does a great job with the rocks, and he finds cool places that would just look even cooler with some good rock work, and he's nailing it. He's up there with guys like Jepson, and Parallel 42 is now teamed up with Jepson. Maybe they may be competing with him as far as their quality, but those guys are good, and Cliff is good, and he's just done a great job with this area. I don't know how he found this, and I'd love to hear it, Cliff. I know you're going to watch this, so let me know how the heck you found this place. But we're not just going to be exploring the add-on. This is also a major milestone for me because this is the first full flight we've uploaded in a helicopter without the assist on. As you guys know, after logging untold hundreds of hours and dozens of flights with the assist on, I figured it was time to take off the training wheels and go hard or go home. So we're going to go hard. And if you guys are like me and you're wondering if you'll ever be able to get control of these things with full realism engaged, perhaps this video will be a bit of an inspiration because I've probably got, I'll tell you how I got as good as I've gotten it. I'm not great, but I've done it within probably maybe 6 hours of dedicated practice at some different things I'll tell you about in just a minute, but this is kind of where I'm at with that, and I can tell you right now that before those 6 hours, the last several months, I was trying to fly these things. Every couple of weeks, I'd get in and try to fly without the assist on. Just a total disaster, but with some dedicated work, which again, I'll tell you about in just a minute what I've been doing. I'll give you some assets to use if you want to try to do it. And just to keep me on the level, I'm going to fly this one in the Lama, which I have never flown without the assist on. I've flown it several times with them on, but not yet without. So I've done all my practice so far in the R22. I got in the G2 once. But this will be my first time doing this, so we'll see if my growing skill set is translating over to this thing. But let's go ahead and get in there, get her started up. Let me just get my notes squared away, so we'll be good to go with that, because I'm not going to be able to scroll anything once we get going. Okay, so this is pretty quick. Let's just flip a few switches here. And this, by the way, is actually a door. It's the bubble door. If I left it off, it'd be a little bit too loud, but the main door has a big bar right here and something here that makes it hard to see, so I just put the bubble door on. And we'll put the air on, too, although it's probably beautiful up here. All right, booster. And then that, while that's spooling up, let's just take a quick peek at the Google Maps so you can see where we are. So there's China. We were out here recently. There's India. I'd heard of that before. Nepal, yep. Bangladesh. Bhutan, no. Had not heard of it before. Look at that place. Uttarakhand. I hadn't heard of that either. There's a lot of places out here, and I bet this is some great scenery flying around here. So here's Bhutan, and we're far over here on the western side of it, and there's Paro. Or Paro. I'm not sure how you say that. And yeah, this is the real satellite map. There's not going to be any spoilers in here because nothing's big enough to be able to see it. So we're parked right about here, a little parking spot right there. And this mod, I think, also did up the airport and everything. Everything looks really, really good out here. We're going to fly this way, come around one little temple out here, come up over this direction. We're really just going to kind of be zigzagging around here. Cruise back over this way, got a really big temple down there. Come up over this ridge here, come on, check out some temples on this side, and then we're going to check out the waterfall right here, which is just amazing. And I think what I would like to do is circle. I'm going to come up the side so you can see the waterfall. Then I'm going to circle over the top because there's a bunch of monasteries up there. Then we'll come down here, check out one more, and then we'll look for a spot to land because as I'm about to tell you, there are no other airports out here. So that's what I think the game plan is going to be. Probably a pretty quick flight, I would think. Probably around the 15-minute mark. All right, I need to lean over to give it some fuel, and while that's spooling up, I'll tell you what my plan is with this thing, since I have not yet done it without the assist on. Okay, and you guys that fly all the time without the assist on, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but my objective in sharing my experience is to try to drag you guys off the sidelines that were just like, nope, I'm not going to do helicopters. This has opened up a beautiful new world for me. As I mentioned before, I've been flying with the assist on for a while, but I mean, this is really flying. You got to stay totally mentally and physically engaged the whole time. It has just been awesome. So, huge challenge, but totally worth it for me. And it has really upped my game across the whole spectrum. And now I find I'm always watching real-life videos of helicopter training stuff. It's just amazing. Can't get enough of it now. All right, we'll give that just a second. So I don't know which way this one's going to yaw, because depending on where helicopters are manufactured, sometimes they spin one way when you bring up that collective, sometimes they spin the other. So my plan is just to bring it up a little bit, see which way it wants to spin, try to correct that real quick. The runway is back behind us, so we'll head over there, try to take a runway heading down a little bit. Once we get to the end of the runway, we'll cruise off, we'll brake left to check out the first monastery, and then we'll be on our way. Let me check our barrel real quick. So you can see our altitude right now is already up over I guess that's a funky altimeter. I think we're around 8,000 feet right now, so we're pretty high. And the ceiling on this is 10,500, so I don't think we're going to be able to see the highest monasteries out here, but we'll give it a shot, see how it goes. Okay, very slowly bringing up that collective, getting ready to see which way it's going to yaw on me. Okay, it wants to go to the left, so we'll give it some right pedal. And then we got to come this way because the runway is behind us, and try not to hit those buildings. All right, just get under control again. No problem. That wasn't too bad. If you would have seen me flying this without the assist a month ago, I'd be crashed already. Okay, so just so I don't have to keep so much forward pressure on the stick, I'll start trimming down a little bit. This is not the live weather. It was all fogged in, unfortunately, because it looks really cool with those low clouds. But I did leave the wind up. I think I've got the partly cloudy setting on. So right now we've got a 7-knot crosswind. You can see from that windsock there. And our first temple is going to be up on that little hill to the left. We'll cruise over there and check that out. This airport is Paro International, built in 1968, and originally they made it just for helicopters. And today the 7,500-foot runway is the only international airport in the whole country. There's only 2 more airports in the whole country. There's one far over to the east with, I think, around an 8,000-foot runway. But for a country this big to have 3 airports, that's pretty wild. And due to the way it's situated down in this valley, some pilots consider this to be the most difficult approach in the world. You can see those rocks there, how good that looks. Just incredible. Once we come back around, off in the distance, you'll see some of the mountains have that checkerboard effect. That's what you see when you see a big band of no satellite coverage. And you can get rid of that if you put one of the map enhancements in. The problem I was having is it was jacking up the colors, so the trade-off is some checkerboards in the distance, but at least more lifelike looking colors. Look at that bridge. Okay, see those little rocks down there in the river? That is a nice added touch for me, and because we got the wind on, it almost looks like it's flowing because we're getting some wave action down there. Incredible. Okay, Cliff, one thing I wanted to point out to you, see those black roofs? I'm sure you've already spotted them. That has not been happening the entire time. They've just started turning black. Some of the sides of the buildings, like right in front of us, are black. I'm not sure what's going on. I probably did something wrong, but I wanted you to see what that looked like. Those 2 big green things right down there are just south of a big resort that's right up there by the airport. That round top building on this side of the river is part of the resort, and those are supposed to be tennis courts. Probably actual grass. Bringing that collective up because we got to do some climbing here in this first temple on the hill. You can always spot the add-on mods because they're bigger buildings and they have pink roofs, and a lot of them have smoke coming up out of them. Just keep an eye on that altimeter because we may struggle. There's one even higher than this. There's no way we're going to get to it. It's around 11,000 feet, so we're probably even going to struggle on this one. The R22 was struggling up here. We'll see how it goes. Give it some more collective. This is just an incredible area. So good. And I'm really curious to see if 2024 is going to expand the satellite coverage in areas like this, because this would just be amazing landscape touring. Keep bringing that collective up. Now we have a 9-knot crosswind coming from 284. Probably getting a little bit of turbulence over these mountains. I'm feeling a little bit, and I'm feeling the chopper try to struggle to keep climbing, so we'll give it some more collective, as much as it can take, without getting into an RPM issue. And there's our temple, so yep, we're struggling now. We'll just circle around that and then come on back down the other side. And then I'll show you some of that scenery. You can already see a little bit, see off there in the distance, that tiling checkerboard effect. That's what happens when there's no coverage. This flight plan I will include in here, but I had to draw it right back to this airport because there's no other airports around here, and I did take it back up over the mountain, so if you want to take a helicopter that can climb, this one couldn't do it. You can take a little mountain tour. And once you get up there, the mountains look okay if you put one of the map enhancements on. I imagine it probably looks terrible without them. But even with the map enhancements, because you have to stay so close to the ground just to make it over them, it didn't look that great. So you could easily VFR fly this by just turning yourself back around and coming back down the valley. Or you can do like we're going to do and just land somewhere down there, and there's plenty of fields out here. We need to get a little bit lower to check out these next temples, which I do have some information on, so I'm just going to kind of circle back around here. We'll take another look at that modded up airport as we come back around. Well, that's kind of neat looking. Look at that. Looks like there's a little airstrip or something up there. I missed that before. We couldn't see it from the other angle. So I'm going to include a link to a video of some guys landing an A319 out here from the cockpit view. It is awesome. So you can see what that looks like, and it's a neat flight. They flew up over the Himalayas, checked out Mount Everest, a bunch of other big mountains. It's about 9 minutes long, but that'll be in the video description along with this flight plan, and perhaps most importantly for this flight, our bookmark file. So you don't have to hunt around for those things that have been modded up. So we're going at about 55 knots, but it feels like we're just standing still because we're so high. Alright, so, okay, I'm using my center bar as our pointer there. Just to the right of it is a big tower called Dzong, D-Z-O-N-G, which is what they call these monastery fortresses out here. And it's that one on the right there. That's the oldest of all of these, built in 1352. And they say there's a cave on the property where they think that Buddha may have done some meditating back in the 8th century. And that great big one down there to the left is called Rinpung Dzong Monastery, built in 1646. Also originally a fortress. And then that one just to the right of our center bar right now is called Taizong, completed in 1651. And that one, along with probably that one to the right, was originally a watchtower to look out for invading Tibetan forces. And now it's home to the National Museum of Bhutan. And even though it doesn't look like it here, they say that's the tallest building out here in the whole country, at a whopping 72 feet high. And I looked at some pictures from the ground because I didn't know if the perspective was just off with the mods, but it looks like that from a distance too. So I don't know if that big one on the left is built up on a hill or something, but that one to the right with the pink roof is supposedly the tallest one in the country. Go figure. Now we got a 14 knot crosswind. That's alright. We got this. Everything's fine. We're under control. And also, Cliff, I should mention, in the add-on in the world map, it showed one additional airport and 2 helipads, which I could not locate, although I did put little H's on the bookmark file where they should be. I just couldn't find them, so maybe it's my fault, but I could not locate those. Maybe the sim added them when they shouldn't be there. But as you can see, there's no shortage of places to land. Okay, so what we're going to do is come up over that ridge right in front of us. There should be a couple more temples up there. So we'll go ahead and pick up our collective and nose down just to pick up some speed. Wow, this thing is very manageable. I think actually the G2 was probably harder to control than this one, so this has not been so bad. And I had the wind off with the G2. So we got a pretty good wind. We're up over the mountains and very manageable. Okay, so how I've managed to get these things under control. If you haven't already seen it, not the last video, the one before that was about a 15, maybe 20-minute video, maybe longer than that, I don't know how long it was, of some of the exercises I've been doing. I'm going to post 3 of those. One's already up. The first one is the most basic, and it's at the heliport down in Tokyo. And the next one we're going to do is out in Victoria Falls. There's one more temple right in front of us, and we're going to go check out that one on the mountain to the right. And then the last one we're going to do is in LA, which is by far the hardest. So all I've been doing is every night before I start doing my normal flying, I'll spend about 30 minutes working on the exercises. And the easier ones I'm getting quite a bit better at. And as I mentioned in that video, I still have not even attempted to work on landings other than just at the end of my practice. Because I have found that just learning to get the basic control of these things has been the biggest asset, and I can tell my landings are even getting better just getting good at that. So if you were like me and just trying to get up and land, get up and land, get up and land, you will be very, very frustrated, much like I was. You just need to get the reps with the very fine motor skills required to maintain control of these, and you'll find that that will carry over to everything else. So even if you do a exercise session and you feel like you did horrible, you will quickly discover that you have just gotten better without even thinking you're getting better as you're doing the exercises. Look at this place. Look at those little terraced roads and stuff there. Really neat. That's cool. Really cool. Wonder if you could get a helicopter down here. It doesn't look like there's a big enough flat spot anywhere unless you were way better than I am. Maybe over there to the right. I don't think I could do it at this point. There's some of that wind. Okay, so we'll cruise over here and check out this little monastery on that other ridge, and then we'll circle around and look at the waterfall. And I do have some more information about that too. We'll probably just stay at this altitude, I think, because that looks like we're at about the right spot. So we'll do the LA flight last, and that one is so hard. And that's where we'll do our landings too, because all of those buildings downtown have helipads on them. So we'll just kind of hop around from one to the other. We'll finally get to the landings, which is what the main objective is for all of this. But the work we're going to do around that US Bank building is so hard, and I'm so bad, and I have probably spent a good hour, maybe hour and a half trying to do it. I feel like I'm not getting any better, but again, once I start just doing general flying again, I have found that my general flying has gotten better just by struggling through all that. So even you guys that are good at flying these without the assist on, I'd love to get your feedback about what we're going to do out to LA when we get that video up. And if you tell me you can do it really well, I might ask you for video proof, but I'll believe you. I trust you guys. That would be inspirational for me because I feel like I'm not getting any better. But again, it's helping my general flying for sure. But it is really, really hard. I can't wait till you guys see it. And I'm just addicted to it. All day long, I'm like, I can't wait to get back home and try the exercises again. But one of the biggest things for me that I noticed, and I think I mentioned it in that first exercise tutorial video, is that with the assist on, you really don't need to use your anti-torque pedals much. I find that I'm using them mostly at lower speeds constantly. That's how I regain a lot of control, whereas without the assist, I was hardly ever having to touch them, unless I was just trying to do some pivoting without moving around. But they're pretty important. In fact, right now I'm just having to keep constant right pressure. A lot of times I just take my feet off the pedals without the assist, or with the assist on. I gotta keep them on there now. And it's really getting to be second nature. I don't even have to think about it. Look at that. Right over those rocks. Oh, amazing. Great job, Cliff. And my usual disclaimer, just so you don't get the wrong idea, I have talked to Cliff a couple times, not live, but just via electronic communication. He has not given me anything free. He hasn't paid me anything to say this. I just think he's really good. But this is my style of add-ons. I mean, I just like seeing really good scenery, natural scenery. And if you can, like I said before, find a cool area like... Alright, there's that waterfall right in front of us. Find a cool area like this that's already neat looking and then improve it. That's always going to be a winner in my book. Okay, my plan here is to come around this way. We will get some popping with this one, and I have the graphics turned up pretty high too. I should have turned the airplanes on down on the ground. I could probably handle it. I'm going to come around so we can see it from the side, and then I will circle over the top to check out the temples up on the top there. And you can see halfway down, there's a monastery perched right on a cliff there. I'm going to try to say this name right. Takeoff Monastery, aka the Tiger's Nest. And you better believe there's some lore behind that name. And originally there was just a cave there, and there were people that were doing some kind of praying or worshipping all the way back in the 800s. And then they built that big monastery in 1692. And I tried to find some nice drone footage or something of this waterfall, which I thought for sure there would be, because this is one of the biggest tourist stops out here and pilgrimage spots in all of the Buddhist world, actually. But all I could find were some like cell phone videos and stuff, but you can check them out if you want to. None of them were as good as a nice drone flight, nice 4K drone flight. Toby, maybe you can come out here. Come down from Norway, fly around this thing. Boy, that'd be a cool trip. Ooh, it's kind of in a shadow. That's okay, we'll get a good look at it. Alright, we're going to come around the top of it here. Just see how good of a look we can have of that waterfall. And then the Tiger's Nest up here. And then we'll come down, hit one more monastery, and try to find a spot to land. See if you're impressed so far. You will not be once I try to land. Look at that. That is amazing. I'm looking at the temple now. I haven't even gotten to be my bewilderment at the waterfall. Look at that. Oh, got a little mist coming up from the bottom. In real life, at least the videos I saw, it was a little bit more of a trickle than that. But if he tried to model the trickle, there wouldn't be much to model. So I like what he did out here. It looks really good. We're going to have to do kind of a hard turn because I don't think we can gain much more altitude from this point. So just trying to keep it under control. Look at those little flags down there by it. That is cool. What do we got at this one up here? Oh boy, are we going to clear that? I think we'll be alright. Well, we're barely going to clear it. Well, it's also got some flags. Neat. I think one of the helipads was somewhere down in this valley. I couldn't find it, but I'm a little bit high here, obviously. We'll take another look as we're coming around. This is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, I'm looking for anything that appears to be a little bit modded up. Okay, well, there's a little smoke down there. I didn't see that before. Where there's smoke, there's mod. Let's see if we can spot a helipad down there. Alright, I'm dropping that collective because we need to come down a good bit. See that right down there to the right? And it's got the modded trees around it. You can see there's a little vegetation transition there. And that would seem like an odd little spot to mod up if you weren't going to stick a helipad or something down there. And I do see a square thing on the ground. Maybe that is a helipad. But we got a couple more spots to see. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the one I may have put the helipad in the wrong spot. The marker anyway. Incredible. Okay, let's take a little flight down by the water again here because that looks amazing too. So with a map enhancement, you did get a little bit more relief. And by the way, if you have the Pro version, which I now do, as I mentioned on our last flight, well, the China flight anyway, I found out here that the Mapbox Pro had the least amount of artifacts, but the coloration was just a little bit too far off for maximum realism. So again, I took the checkerboards off in the distance in exchange for some duller colors. Look at those little rocks down there in the stream, the river. Beautiful. Okay, let's pick up the collective, nose down some to pick up some airspeed. Whoa, we're already going at 90 knots. We don't have much bandwidth there. We got one more big temple off to our right, which we can't see yet. There it is. So we'll go check her out. And as I cruise by, I'm going to be looking for some landing spots. And while we get out there, some quick announcements. We do have our next group flight plan. That will be over the Virgin Islands. We're going to take a faster seaplane than we did up in Maine. Probably a twin engine or a turboprop would probably do the trick. I'm thinking maybe the Goose for me. Or maybe the Kodiak, I don't know. But that'll probably be in a couple weeks because the guy that's putting that together for us, and thank you, Carol, for suggesting that, is on vacation right now. So when he gets back, I'll put a notice up on the Discord page. The link for our Discord server will be in the video description, along with the flight plan and the bookmarks files for this place. And if you have a place that you just feel like we need to check out, want to see a video of it on this channel, let me know. You can compete in our quarterly flight plan competition. Hop on Discord, go to the Suggest a Flight section, look at that place. All I need to know is where I should leave from, my arrival airport, and a few spots to check out in between. If there's enough to see and talk about, we'll load it up, and at the end of the quarter, we'll vote as a sim community. The winner will get a $50 gift card to the sim vendor of your choice. A lot of fun to do that, and it's just a great community. We got about 70 people in there now. Just so much fun. I keep finding myself at work going in there and checking it just to see if anyone's posted anything new. All right, we're really high, so let's come on down some, and then we'll start looking for a place to land because, as I mentioned in that first flight exercise video, I'm trying to break the habit of thinking it's a good idea to get 200 feet above the ground and come straight down. One thing, you're in great danger of getting into a vortex ring state and not being able to recover. And two, it's much harder to land when you don't come in nice and low from a distance. So if any of you guys have any suggestions, I mean, I'm sure you all remember, if you've gotten good at flying these things, about some skills for landing. I'm pretty good getting down to a hover just before landing. I always find myself losing control at the last minute. I've been trying to just come in even lower so I have less distance to come down. And yes, I already know the ultimate cure is just getting a VR headset. Everybody's told me that. I got a birthday coming up, so maybe that's in the cards, but I just can't upload these videos in VR, and I'm afraid once I get in, I'll never come back out because they don't look quite as good in VR. Boy, that collective is low. It's almost completely down, and we are not coming down much, so we'll just cruise a little bit further up or downstream as we come down. How's our wind? 11 knot crosswind now. Hopefully it'll be a little bit lower once we get closer to the ground. See if we can see any other interesting landmarks. Ooh, look at that tin roof right down there. Looks like it's even got some rust on it. That's what I like to see. Love rust. That big open field right there in front of us looks pretty good. That's what I'm going to shoot for. Yep, wind still at 11 knots. Boy, you'd think in these mountains like this, we'd be rocking and rolling even more. Bring that nose up, so I'm not fighting the stick so hard. Working those pedals, working those pedals. And, alright, I kind of like this trajectory. Bring the collective up a little bit so we can slow down. And I may fly a little bit from the left-hand side of the cockpit. There is something in my brain that makes me just keep leaning. In fact, my whole body's leaning to the right now. I find I don't do that as much when I'm sitting on the left-hand side. So I may try that. Okay, I'm just going to hop over these little trees here, and we'll try to plop her down in that lighter green area over there. That looks flat enough. Oh, this is banked a little bit, isn't it? Let's see if we can get over there. I think we can do it. So we'll take a real quick peek at little NavMap just for a second when we're done so I can show you what the flight plan will look like if you want to try to do it. Alright, this is a little bit more banked than I feel comfortable with, but we're just going to go for it. So I'm going to try to get into a hover here, and this is where I always get into trouble, just coming to a stop and then regaining a hover state. And the main problem I'm having, as you can see, is just coming to that stop. So any advice you've got about that, love to hear it. Okay, we got the hover. Just trying to keep it under control. And set her down. Not too bad. And I think in VR, one thing that would help, I always come down with my nose up like that. It looks like I'm coming in flat, but then the skids hit and I realize I'm nose up. So, help me out, guys. Let's get some more people in these choppers. So much fun. Okay, let me just shut the fuel off. That'll get this thing slowing down. And we'll take a real quick peek at little NavMap here so you can see what we're up to. Well, we roughly followed the flight plan there. Not too bad. Okay, we already got... Let's get rid of that just so we can see. So if you want to try to fly this as I did, again, you're going to need a helicopter that can do better than this one. The 406 can get up there. I think it's got a ceiling of 20,000, and H125 has like 23,000. So you could probably do it in that. And I did fly over this originally in a plane. You can see this little thing, but even with a map enhancement, it didn't look great. So you're not missing anything if you don't take this whole route. I'd probably just turn around and plop it down somewhere or come back to the airport. You won't have any trouble finding it. So here's the first little spot that we saw, and again, I put all the names on here for them. Most of these, when you click on them in Google, there's just tourist sites. Here's the little sports field were for the spa, and there's that little round building that you can spot down there. Here was our first monastery, and I don't think there's any way you're getting up to that one there. That one's about 11,000 feet, not in this helicopter. I didn't even point that one out, but here are the bigger ones over here. So that's the oldest one there, Zurizong. And then here's the one that was the big palace-looking thing, the biggest of them by far, Rinpung Zong. And then here's where the National Museum is now. Tallest building in Bhutan. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of wondering what the main airport is for people that are coming out here. I wonder what the closest big one is. I think the guys in that A319 were coming from Kathmandu. Okay, we came up here, checked out that one. That was really cool. That was up on the mountaintop. Looked at that guy, and then here's where the waterfall is. And it's in a shadow here, too. You really can't even see it. Look at that. But there's where the tiger's nest is. Taksand Shama. What does that whole name say? Duli Fung. I just call it the Taksang Monastery, Tiger's Nest. And these guys up here. And that little heliport, well, that would have been in the right spot. So that's probably where it is. I should have come down there and tried landing that little thing. That's got to be where that is. This one I could not see, and I did spot this here. I didn't see anything down there, so maybe I just put the H in the wrong spot. Let me know if I did, because I'd like to find all the helipads. And that's it, guys. Very good job, Cliff. Again, really, really, really neat area. And if you don't mind telling me how you found out about this place, I would love to hear it. Next trip will probably be, I'll get that flight uploaded out from Victoria Falls. We'll try one more exercise before we get out to LA, and then maybe somewhere in between we'll also hit Sydney, but whatever it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see y'all again in the skies. Later.